Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, coming to you today from the DEP dock in Old Lyme, Connecticut. Doing a little snapper blue fishing, hopefully get something on film here before the video, but had a few hits, haven't landed any just yet. We're going to start off with Connecticut, as always, and again, word is snapper bluefish are all over the place, and they're finally getting bigger. A lot in that 3 to 4 inch range, but we are finding some now in around 6 inches, so that is great table fare, and they make some awesome big fluke bait. So if you're able to get a few, throw them in the live well, take them out to deeper waters. Speaking of snapper blues, talked to Robert Costa. He was fishing the Fort Trumbull Pier down in New London this week, and he was getting a bunch of snapper blues. Then he started getting to something that was a little odd, wasn't sure exactly what it was, so he took a picture, sent it along to me. Identified that to be a blue runner. There's been a few of these actually caught in Connecticut, in Long Island Sound waters, Rhode Island, and a bunch up in Buzzards Bay recently. And a few subscribers have sent me photos at different times, was able to identify them for them. So you just never know what that next catch when you're going cast for snappers is going to be. We've had some needlefish swimming around here today. Haven't been able to hook up with any of them just yet, but who knows what the rest of the day might hold for me. But in Long Island Sound, although snapper bluefish bite is going pretty good, the biggest news is Albies. They've finally begun to move inside Long Island Sound after pretty much tormenting all the Connecticut anglers as they've been hanging with the bonita off of Rhode Island for the last couple of weeks. And Andrew at Fishin Factory 3 sent a couple of pictures along of some caught inside Long Island Sound. They finally moved in past fishers. They haven't really invaded the entire sound yet, primarily getting word of them about as far inland as maybe into London, a few around Old Saybrook, the Connecticut River stretch. Got rumors of them down in Norwalk, but I've yet to see any proof that any of them have been landed down that far yet. Moving on into Rhode Island, speaking of false albacore, they finally joined in the bite along South County, and subscriber Gil Bell sent me a photo of a rare catch, an albie from shore. Now he caught this fish this week in the surf, and he got it on a Mike's Custom Plugs jointed eel. Not your standard albie or bonita lure, but you never know what they're gonna, what that next cast again is gonna bring. Gil thought he had a potential world record bluefish on the end of his line, but it ended up being a nice 5.5 pound albie. So congrats to him. And we've got a few Dreamboat entries that came in this week, and we have a new leader for black sea bass by New England subscriber Mark Caulfield. It was 6.38 pounds, weighed in at Watch Hill Outfitters this week. Now, there's been a very good black sea bass bite going on off of the southwest corner of Block Island, around the canyon, about 60 to 70 feet of water. I've been getting word that jigs, bucktails, diamond jigs, bait, everything's pretty much working on them. All you got to do is get out there with some moving current and you will get in on the sea bass. And speaking of Dreamboat entries, as I was prepping things today, I got word of another Dreamboat entry by a New England subscriber weighed in at Watch Hill Outfitters. This time, Vinny DeLetta weighed in an 80-pound yellowfin tuna that he caught fishing in the canyons. And again, weighed at Watch Hill Outfitters. That's an awesome catch by Vinny, but you know what? He's no stranger to the Dreamboat Challenge. He currently has a fish on the mahi standings, and he's topped a few of the categories in the past as well as placed. He's had fish, bluefish, sea bass, scup, mahi, yellowfin tuna, really a great all-around angler. We're happy to have him as a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. And moving on up into Massachusetts, keeping that albie theme going. A good friend of mine, Joe D'Agostino of Joe Bags Bucktails, was fishing in the canal the other day, and he got into several albies on tins. It's a great catch, again, from shore. I can only imagine how crazy that fight was. Not only to catch an albie from shore, but to get it in the screaming current of the Cape Cod Canal. Later that day, he came back with some of his bucktail jigs and his eel jigs. He got a bunch of bass to the mid-40 inch class. And a lot of fish that size last week through the canal. Last couple of days, however, I got word that it kind of slowed down a little bit as far as big fish. They're still around, but you're getting more of those mid-20 to mid-30 inch fish right now, feeding on small bait in the canal. And this past Sunday, the Martha's Vineyard Derby, as well as the Nantucket Inshore Classic, both kicked off. Got word of some really good catches entered in both tournaments, both by boat as well as from shore. Their divisions for striped bass, bluefish, false albacore, and bonita. So if you're up to either of those islands this fall, make sure that you enter one of those tournaments. Fisherman Magazine is proud to be a sponsor of both. Lastly, going to talk about the Gulf of Maine cod fishing, haddock fishing. Now, granted, that is closed at this time. However, our good friends at the Yankee Fleet, they're not going to stop just because of that. They've been getting on some great other bites, and recently, inside the Gulf of Maine, they've been bailing some awesome pollock and redfish bites. And you know what? not to be outdone, they even found some waters outside the Gulf of Maine where they've been running some special cod fishing trips, as they're still allowed to target them outside the Gulf of Maine. So check out their website for all details. So there you have it. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines on the water.
To receive the latest fishing reports, subscribe to the Fisherman's YouTube page. Click subscribe, then click the settings button and check Send Me Updates. You'll now receive notifications of the latest Fisherman YouTube videos and reports. If you're already a subscriber, make sure you've checked Send Me Updates in the settings so you receive the latest notifications.